After a dad sensed a change in his daughter, he found clues on her tablet that left him in tears. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and don't forget to ring the bell for more. There's nothing quite like a parent's intuition. One father in Michigan had a strange feeling about his daughter whose behavior had recently altered. Rather than ask her directly, he let his suspicions guide him to where he thought he might find the reason: her tablet. The names and other details in the story have been removed to protect the victim's identity. When he logged onto the device she used to share photos and chat with friends, he could not believe what he'd found. Those clues led him to a terrifying discovery. It left him devastated, but also alarmed him with a crucial message for other parents whose teens use social media. Dad Scott was the patriarch of a young family, a family unit which included his wife and 2 daughters. One of his offspring, who we'll call G, had reached the time in her young life where she was old enough to use social media and messaging apps on her tablet. Scott kept an eye on his daughter, knowing he was more aware of the dangers of the online world than his child. Children today really do not understand how social media networks spread over the entire world, and with that comes serious threats if not monitored, he wrote in a post for a leading online parenting website. G's circle of online friends included a group of girls that would chat every single day. But there was also one boy, 15-year-old Bruce, who had befriended them all too. At face value, Bruce appeared exactly the same as any other 15-year-old boy, according to Scott. Once he became part of G's circle of friends, Bruce started involving some of his own buddies too. The online clan chatted through popular apps like Kik and Instagram. At the same time though, G started communicating differently with her family. She was becoming secretive and sneaky, her father observed. Scott had a theory that the sea change in his daughter's demeanor had something to do with her online life. Being that I fully understand how far the internet reaches and how quickly things can get out of control, I checked up on my daughter on a regular basis, he explained. Roughly once a fortnight, he would pore through G's tablet while she slept. I would dig into her messages and pictures to see if things looked inappropriate, Scott wrote, but for the most part he didn't find anything out of the ordinary, aside from some weird timing between messages and responses, which didn't ring any alarm bells at first. One night though, he felt unaccountably even more drawn to perform his routine safeguarding. I had a funny feeling, he recalled. I grabbed her tablet to do what I thought would be just another normal check. This time though, he would finally get some answers as to why G had changed so much. What I found to this day haunts my mind and makes my heart sink, the father of 2 admitted. On G's tablet, he found a picture that he was sure was not suitable at her tender age. The sexy pose set my red flag on fire, her father wrote. With that, Scott was on a mission to find out to whom his daughter was sending these pictures. He started with her new group of friends on Instagram. All I was left with were tears in my eyes and a burning fire in my heart to destroy every boy on her Instagram account, the angry father wrote, and it was just the beginning. What Scott came to realize was that Bruce was indeed a real teenage boy, but the friends he'd invited into G's group were not. I harnessed the power of Google to look up and research the secondary accounts of the friends in his circle, not something children think or are willing to do, Scott wrote. Once I saw that 4 of the friends in the circle were clearly adult men, my heartbreak turned into anger and rage, G's dad wrote. He tried to find more details about these adults, but concluded that the search was beyond his reach. That was when he decided to involve law enforcement officers. The cyber task force of the local police department quickly took action. A detective met with the family in order to obtain access to all of its computers, tablets, and the like. The officer's search was careful, calculated, and thorough. It took 7 months to complete. They called us in to report the most terrifying words I've ever heard, Scott wrote. The distress palpable in his choice of language. Mr. and Mrs. Blank, can you and your family please come to the police station as soon as possible? Not something you ever want to hear. The cyber task force, like Scott, had found that Bruce was a normal teenager, but his innocent friendship with the girls was placing them in harm's way. The men who were acting as his friends had set Bruce out as a scout, Scott wrote. His face was the first safe face that your children see. Bruce had no idea that he had become an active player in a sex trafficking ring. He was unknowingly luring young girls into his circle as prey for the men to pick and choose from, Scott said. Even scarier, Bruce had more than 2,000 online connections from around the world, most of whom were children like Scott's daughter, G. For this Michigan family, it was a lesson that trafficking can happen anywhere, even to a young girl just trying to navigate her way through first inexperienced steps in life online. This is not someone else's problem, Scott wrote. This is right here, right now, and real as the tears I shed for the innocence that was stolen from my daughter. Without his regular tablet checks, G could have fallen victim to the crime the men had hoped to perpetrate. My beautiful girl was prey for these monsters, Scott wrote. She was quickly approaching a meetup, and I fear that I may have never seen my daughter again. Scott's intervention may have saved his daughter's life and potentially the lives of many other young girls too. That's why he shared his story, to scare other parents into action. Dig into your children's accounts, ask them questions, and tell them not to have friends they don't actually know, he advised. It's worth the upset it may cause your child to keep them safe.